Emotional intelligence. There's a lot of talk about that today, but what does the research say about how we can cultivate that in the youngest of children? If you're a mom, I'm so glad you're here. I am an alum of the University of Virginia, proud to be one. I was thrilled when I got my magazine and I saw that one of the articles was on the science of parenting. And so there are these experts at my school, and they did research in their respective fields, um, everywhere from psychology to child development to education, looking at how to help young children thrive, how to equip them better. And hopefully, this conversation that you and are having will be helpful to you in your quest to help your children thrive. The fourth one was my professor at the education school, and he said helping young kids figure out how to engage with others in ways that are intellectually curious and empathetic. Um, and the communication skills required to do that are just as important as some of the early academic skills. So yes, so he's an education professor, and he's like, early reading, math skills are great, but we also need to develop social skills. And those social skills, he goes on to describe, I would say, as being self-aware, helping kids be self-aware, and then therefore being able to be aware of others, and being aware of themselves within a space. So, aware of how they're feeling, aware of how others might be feeling, and aware of how they are operating in a space and whether they need to stop or whether they need to do more of. Those kinds of skills, just as much as reading and math, help them with school readiness. If you're enjoying the content, this would be a great time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Okay, let's get back to the video. So, it would be like an example would be, and overall, um, a lot of what he talked about is giving words to things. So, right, a 3-year-old's vocabulary is limited. They feel a lot of feelings and they feel them in a big way, but they can't express what they're feeling and to the degree that they're feeling with any kind of eloquence. So, the more words we're able to give them and attaching to those words to what they're feeling, so now they are able to say, I feel sad, I feel mad, um, whatever. Like, if they can even say, my grandnephew is 4, and he can tell me that he's frustrated and he means it. But those are words that he's used because his mother has exposed him to those words and used those words to describe how he was feeling at the time. And so then he was able to grab that word and then now use it when he feels that way later. um so it's reading the book, right? We're always telling parents to read with their children, and it's already hard enough for a lot of us to find time to read with our children because we're busy, work and life and all the other activities. The Surgeon General has given us the report. We know there's a lot going on with parents and they don't have a lot of time. So when you do have that time to read the book with your child, rather than simply reading the story, right, and reading it with feeling and all the things, but it's helping them understand the characters. Hey there, just interrupting your video to let you know about something else you'll probably be interested in. Because as a mom, you know that there is no such thing as a lot of free time. You are moving nonstop from the time you get up to the time your head hits the pillow. And if you're like me, you can use some hacks to help you do what you do a whole lot easier in a lot less time. So, if you look in the description below, you'll find the link to 15 hacks that I'm happy to share with you that will get you your time and your sanity back. Okay, let's get back to the video. Because no matter how simple the story is, the characters do still have feelings about what's happening. And if you can stop in the story and say, what do you think she feels right now about, um, one of the books my kids loved was Are You My Mother? Is it a Dr. Seuss book? I think it might be. And however you feel about Dr. Seuss, but it was Are You My Mother? And, this bird is going around trying to figure out like, who is his mother? Is this truck my mother? And to stop and say, this is the third thing he's wondering if it's his mother. How do you think he feels? What do you think he feels? I would feel so sad if I didn't know where my mother was or what my mother looked like. Or so it's that kind of thing. helping them to think about how the character feels so that when they feel that way, they can identify that because they're realizing they feel a similar way to the character in the book, and then they have now words to share to express it, which all of that helps make a tantrum less likely. Because the more words a child has to express what they're feeling, the less likely they will act out because of said feelings that are overwhelming. So things like that. I also it reminded me of my oldest, who, the funny thing amongst physicians is, what we say is like whatever our field of medicine is, like that's the thing that either we or someone we know that we love will have a challenge with. Um, it's it's a parallel that we notice, and it's probably really just because that's the field that we have an expertise in. So that's what we're looking for in our patients all day. And so when we see it in our family members, we're like, oh, that's it. And so anyway, but my oldest, I'm a pediatrician, and sure enough, I know the milestones, and I was noticing that he was not. Um, okay, I think the bee is gone, so we're gonna see. We can get some more here. Um, I noticed he wasn't. His vocabulary just wasn't where it should have been, and so it was a concern of mine. And in case you don't know, your state, hopefully they still have this, for children 3 and under, you can have certain services. If you feel like your child is lagging in some way, you can have certain services paid for by the state to help them catch up so that they are school ready. And so I took advantage of that, and I had speech therapy come to the house and spend some time with him. And she said, you know, he's fine. He's understanding all the things, or within normal range, at the lower level of normal range. And she said, I think he just needs you to give him more words. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? Because I already was not one of those who talk to my children in baby talk. I'm not a fan of that. It's not helpful. And as we've been discussing, they need words to express themselves. And so I was already speaking to him in words. The issue was I was speaking above, too far above him. So back when we were talking about tantrums, and or no, not with tantrums, but about no, it was tantrums, speaking to them in bite-sized instruction so that they're not overwhelmed by all that we're saying. It's easier for them to pick up language when you have short 2 and 3 word sentences. So she said, I'm sure you, she said, I'm sure that you are using and speaking actual words with him, but we need shorter sentences, 2 and 3 word sentences, so that he's able to follow along with what you're saying and matching it up with meaning. And that's what I did, and it was quite helpful. Um, and so, yeah, it's giving them the words, but it's giving it to them in an amount that they can understand and grab hold to, and also using those words to help them identify and name their feelings, and also be able to name and identify those feelings in others. Um, and it's super helpful, I think, if you do it with like naming it in other children, because children like other have an affinity for other children. And so if you're somewhere and you're with your child and you're in the store and there's another child having a tantrum, then you can say, oh, he is not happy at all. He must be really frustrated. He must want some, I wonder if he wants something and he can't have it today. And he doesn't know how to say that he's, unhappy. But, saying that in smaller sentences, um, that just helps them be more aware that the things I'm feeling are, number one, common to other people. And there's ways that I can describe it that this adult can understand, so that I don't have to be so frustrated and feeling like I'm just going through stuff and I can't even express it. If you're enjoying the content, this would be a great time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Okay, let's get back to the video. So if you watch the last video on tantrums, you see how they stack between today's topic of emotional intelligence and how to prevent tantrums as much as possible. So If you didn't happen to see the video on tantrums, I highly recommend you go back and see that. And I also recommend that you join me next time for the fifth video and the final strategy on how to help your children thrive based on research. And remember, when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you are the woman for the job. Take care.